The diplomatic deception Captain Elena Vasquez stood at the viewport of the UES Prometheus, watching the stars blur past as her fleet dropped out of hyperspace. Her reflection stared back at her from the reinforced glass, showing a woman in her 40s with steel-gray eyes and premature silver streaks in her black hair. Those streaks had appeared after the Korthak raids began 3 years ago. Every human colony that fell had aged her another decade. Behind her, the bridge hummed with quiet activity. Lieutenant Commander James Park monitored the sensor array, his fingers dancing across holographic displays. Chief Engineer Rosa Santos kept watch over the ship's hidden modifications, systems that no alien species had ever seen before. To any outside observer, the Prometheus looked like a standard diplomatic. CRUISER. Clean lines, minimal weaponry. Elegant design meant to project peaceful intentions. They had no idea what lurked beneath that peaceful exterior. "Captain, we're receiving the approach vector from Nexus Station," reported Communications Officer David Kim. His voice carried the same tension that had gripped the entire crew since they left Earth. "The Korthak are requesting we maintain formation and proceed directly to the diplomatic berths." Elena nodded slowly. "Acknowledged. Signal the fleet to maintain current positions." She turned to address her bridge crew. "Remember, we are peaceful. Diplomats seeking an end to hostilities. Our weapons are minimal, our intentions pure." Her smile was cold as winter on Pluto. "Make sure they believe that right up until the moment we show them what humans really are." The fleet around the Prometheus told the same story. 12 ships that appeared to be a mixture of diplomatic vessels, research cruisers, and light escorts. Nothing that should concern the mighty Korthak Empire. Nothing that could threaten their vast fleets or challenge their dominion over this sector of space. The Korthak had made their first mistake 3 years ago when they assumed humans would be easy prey. Their second mistake was believing their own propaganda about human weakness. Their third and final mistake was inviting the human diplomatic fleet to Nexus Station. For these peace talks, Dr. Marcus Chon sat in his private cabin, reviewing the terms the Korthak had sent for negotiation. On paper, they looked reasonable. Cessation of hostilities, establishment of neutral zones, trade agreements that would benefit both species. But Marcus had been reading between the lines for 40 years, first as a xenobiologist, then as a military intelligence officer, and finally as Earth's premier alien affairs specialist. The Korthak terms were surrender, documents disguised as peace treaties. They wanted humanity to abandon 15 colonies, accept Korthak oversight of human space travel, and submit to what they euphemistically called cultural integration programs. Marcus had seen the intelligence reports from their previous conquests. Cultural integration meant slavery, experimentation, and systematic extermination of any species that showed signs of resistance. A soft chime indicated someone at his door. "Enter," Marcus called out. Captain Vasquez stepped inside, her expression grim. "Doctor, we're 30 minutes out from Nexus Station. Are you ready for this?" Marcus closed the file he'd been reviewing and looked up at the woman who had become humanity's secret weapon. Elena Vasquez wasn't just a ship captain. She was the architect of Operation Thunderbolt, the plan that would either save humanity or doom them all. "I've been ready for this since the Korthak butchered Colony 17. The question is whether they're ready for what we're about to show them." Elena sat down across from him. "Intelligence confirms they've brought their entire third fleet to Nexus Station. Over 80 warships, including their new Dreadnought-class vessels. They're not taking any chances." "Good," Marcus replied. "The more ships they bring, the bigger the statement will make. What about the broadcast systems?" Lieutenant Kim has confirmed that Nexus Station is equipped with quantum communication arrays that reach every major world in the Korthak Empire. When they start their victory broadcast, every Korthak citizen will be watching. Alana's smile was predatory. They'll all see what happens when you mistake human diplomacy for human weakness. Marcus stood and moved to the cabin's small viewport. Through it, he could see the other ships in their formation. The U.E. Harmony looked like a peaceful research vessel, its hull painted in calming blues and whites. Hidden beneath that paint were ablative armor plates and concealed weapon ports. The U's Concordia appeared to be a simple passenger liner, probably carrying cultural exchange specialists and language experts. In reality, it housed 2,000 of humanity's most elite Marines, all volunteers who had lost family to Korthic raids. "Have you given any more thought to the surrender protocols?" Elena asked quietly. Marcus turned back to her. "There won't be any surrender protocols. Not for them. They forfeited the right to mercy when they started experimenting on human children." His voice carried a weight that made Elena's spine straighten. Dr. Marcus Chun had seen the classified reports from the Korthic research facilities. He knew what they did to captured humans in the name of science. The bridge intercom crackled to life. "Captain to the bridge. We have visual on Nexus Station." Elena and Marcus made their way to the bridge, where the main screen showed their destination. Nexus Station was a massive structure, built by the Korthic to serve as a neutral meeting ground for diplomatic functions. Its gleaming spires and elegant architecture were designed to impress visitors with Korthic technological superiority. Surrounding the station like a protective shell were the ships of the Third Fleet. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Park. "I count 87 vessels, ma'am. 3 dreadnoughts, 15 battle cruisers, and the rest are heavy destroyers and support craft." Elena studied the formation with professional interest. They're arranged for optimal firing solutions on our approach vector. Standard intimidation. Tactics. She turned to her tactical officer. "Commander Santos, status on our modifications?" Chief Engineer Santos consulted her private display. "All weapon systems are online and fully charged, ma'am. Armor plating is retracted, but can deploy in 15 seconds. Engine modifications are running at optimal efficiency." She paused. "Captain, these ships weren't built for what we're about to ask them to do." "No," Elena agreed. "They were built for something much more important. They were built to look harmless while carrying enough firepower to crack a moon." She activated the fleet-wide communications. "All ships, this is Prometheus Actual. We are beginning final approach to Nexus Station. Remember, we are here as diplomats seeking peace. Maintain that fiction until I give the word." Acknowledgments came back from 11 other captains, each commanding a ship that looked nothing like what it really was. Captain Sarah Mitchell, aboard the Concordia, reported her Marines were ready for immediate deployment. Captain Zhang Wei of the destroyer, Pacifica, confirmed that his electronic warfare systems were prepared to blind every Korthic sensor in the system. One by one, humanity's secret fleet reported their readiness to drop the peaceful mask and reveal the warriors underneath as they approached the station. Korthic ships moved to escort them. The aliens flew in precise formations, their vessels sleek and predatory. Each ship was twice the size of its human counterpart, bristling with weapons and armored like flying fortresses. To any reasonable observer, the humans were sailing into the jaws of death. Dr. Chun watched the alien ships through the viewport and felt a familiar calm settle over him. It was the same feeling he'd had 40 years ago when he led his first diplomatic mission to the Centauri worlds. The same feeling he'd experienced during the trade negotiations with the Vegan Republic. The feeling of a man who knew exactly what he was doing, even when everyone else thought he was walking into a trap. "Doctor," Captain Vasquez said quietly, "the Korthic are hailing us. High Commander Thax wants to speak with you personally." Marcus straightened his diplomatic robes and walked to the communication station. The main screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of a Korthic dreadnought. High Commander Thax sat in his command chair, a massive reptilian creature with silver scales and eyes like molten gold. Behind him, Korthic officers worked at stations that pulsed with alien technology. Human diplomat. Thax's voice was a low rumble that seemed to vibrate through the ship's hull. I welcome you to Nexus Station. I trust your journey was peaceful? Marcus smiled his most diplomatic smile. High Commander, thank you for your gracious invitation. We are honored to participate in these historic peace negotiations. Humanity looks forward to a new era of cooperation between our species. Thax's lipless mouth curved in what might have been amusement. Indeed, these talks will be historic. They will mark the beginning of a new relationship between the Korthic Empire and the human colonies. His golden eyes gleamed with something that wasn't quite friendship. I think you will find our terms most ... comprehensive. I'm sure we will find much to discuss, Marcus replied smoothly. When shall we begin? Immediately upon your arrival at the station. My people have prepared a special chamber for our negotiations, one equipped with quantum broadcasting capabilities, so that all our citizens can witness this moment of peace. Thax leaned forward in his chair. I do hope your government has given you full authority to accept our terms. It would be unfortunate if these talks were delayed by bureaucratic complications. Marcus felt Captain Vasquez tense beside him, but he kept his expression neutral. I have been given complete authority to negotiate on behalf of humanity. High Commander, whatever terms we reach here will be binding. Excellent. Thax's smile revealed rows of razor-sharp teeth. Then let us make history together, Dr. Chun. I believe your species will find our proposal most ... educational. The communication ended, leaving the bridge in tense silence. After a moment, Lieutenant Kim spoke up. Captain, they're directing. U.S. to Docking Bay 7. The escort ships are moving to flanking positions. Elena studied the tactical display. The Korthic ships were boxing them in, standard procedure for containing a potential threat. What they didn't realize was that the human ships had been designed specifically for close-quarters combat. The tighter the formation, the more devastating the surprise would be. Take us in, Lieutenant Park. Nice and easy. We're just peaceful. Diplomats, remember? Elena's voice carried to every station on the bridge. Commander Santos, begin final system checks. I want everything ready when the time comes. As the Prometheus and her escorts moved toward Nexus Station, Elena allowed herself a moment of anticipation. In less than an hour, High Commander Thax would learn the difference between human diplomacy and human warfare. He would discover that sometimes, when humans come to the negotiating table, they bring more than just words. They bring thunder. The station grew larger on the main screen, its docking bays yawning open like hungry mouths. Korthic ships swarmed around them, their crews no doubt congratulating themselves on the trap they had laid. 87 warships against 12 human diplomatic vessels. It would be a slaughter, they thought. They were right about that much, Doctor. Marcus Chun made his final preparations in his cabin, reviewing the intelligence reports one last time. Hidden cameras on previous diplomatic missions had revealed the truth about Nexus Station. Beneath its elegant exterior lay detention centers where captured humans were held for experimentation. Laboratories where Korthic scientists studied human physiology to find the most efficient methods of control and exploitation. Command centers where invasion fleets were coordinated. All of it would burn today. Elena's voice came over the intercom. Dr. Chun, please report to the bridge. We're beginning final docking procedures. Marcus sealed the intelligence files and made his way back to the bridge. Through the main viewport, he could see the interior of Docking Bay 7. Korthic soldiers lined the walls, their weapons clearly visible. A welcoming committee, they would claim. An execution squad was more accurate. Captain, Lieutenant Park reported. We're receiving final approach vectors. The Korthik are requesting that we power down all systems except life support once we're docked. Elena laughed, a sound without humor. Of course they are. Tell them we'll comply with standard docking protocols. She turned to Santos. Chief, how long until our systems are fully prepared? 12 minutes, Captain. The other ships report similar status. Perfect. Elena activated the fleet communications one final time. All ships, this is Prometheus Actual. In approximately 15 minutes, Dr. Chan will begin negotiations with the Korthik leadership. Whatever they say, whatever they demand, remember that we came here for one reason only. Her voice hardened. Justice for every human who suffered at their hands. Justice for every colony they destroyed. Justice for every child they experimented on. The responses came back immediately. 11 captains acknowledging their orders. 11 crews ready to drop the mask of diplomacy and show the galaxy what happened when you made humanity angry. As the Prometheus settled into its docking berth, Elena Vasquez allowed herself one last look at the Korthik fleet surrounding them. In a few minutes, those ships would learn why humans had never been conquered, never been enslaved, never been broken by any enemy they had faced. The Korthik had invited diplomats to a peace conference. They were about to meet the human war machine. Instead, the thunder of human resolve, the negotiation chamber aboard Nexus Station, was a masterpiece of Korthik architecture, designed to intimidate and overwhelm visitors. Crystalline walls rose 30 meters overhead, pulsing with soft bioluminescent patterns that supposedly promoted peaceful thoughts. The massive conference table was carved from a single piece of Korthik ceremonial stone, its surface polished to mirror brightness. Around the table sat the most powerful beings in the Korthik Empire, their reptilian forms draped in robes that signified their authority over countless worlds. Dr. Marcus Chan sat alone on the human side of the table, his simple diplomatic attire making him appear small and insignificant compared to the alien dignitaries. To the Korthik, he looked like exactly what they expected from humanity: weak, isolated, and desperate for any terms that would spare his species from complete destruction. High Commander, Thax gestured to the quantum broadcasting array that lined one wall of the chamber. Dr. Chun, I hope you do not mind that we are sharing these historic negotiations with our people. It is important that all citizens of the Empire witness the moment when humanity joins the galactic community under proper guidance. Marcus smiled politely. Of course, High Commander. Transparency is essential for building trust between our peoples. What he didn't mention was that Captain Vasquez had already tapped into those same broadcasts. Every word spoken in this chamber was being transmitted to the human fleet, and through them to Earth Command. Fax activated a holographic display that showed a three-dimensional map of human space. Red markers indicated the locations of human colonies, while blue zones showed areas of Korthik influence. Let us begin with territorial adjustments. The Empire has determined that human expansion has proceeded beyond sustainable limits. For the good of galactic stability, we require the immediate evacuation of these 15 systems. The systems Fax highlighted included some of humanity's most prosperous colonies. New Geneva, with its population of 12 million. Harmony Station, humanity's premier research facility. The agricultural worlds of the Ceres system that fed half of human space. I see, Marcus said carefully. And where would the populations of these worlds relocate? The Empire has prepared suitable accommodation centers where humans can contribute to the greater galactic community while learning proper civilized behavior. Thax's golden eyes gleamed with satisfaction. These centers are equipped with the finest educational facilities and work programs, designed to help humans reach their full potential under Imperial guidance. Marcus had seen intelligence reports from similar accommodation centers on worlds the Korthic had previously conquered. They were slave camps, pure and simple. Massive facilities where captured populations were sorted by age, gender, and physical capability. Children were separated from their parents and subjected to behavioral modification programs. Adults were worked to death in mines and factories. The elderly and infirm simply disappeared. How many humans would be affected by these relocations? Marcus asked. Approximately 47 million, replied Administrator Vex, a smaller Korthic whose silver scales marked him as a member of the bureaucratic caste. A significant number, but the Empire has extensive experience managing population transfers. Of this magnitude, Marcus nodded as if considering this reasonable. Inside his jacket, a small communication device pulsed twice, the signal from Captain Vasquez that the human fleet was in position and ready to drop their disguises. I'm curious about the timeline for these transfers. Would families be kept together during the transition? Thax exchanged a look with his subordinates. Family units serve no productive purpose in Imperial society. Individuals will be assigned to work groups based on their capabilities and the Empire's needs. This is far more efficient than the chaotic human practice of maintaining emotional attachments. Those words sealed the Korthic's fate. Marcus had hoped, despite everything he knew about their species, that some accommodation might be possible, that perhaps the intelligence reports had exaggerated their cruelty. But Thax had just confirmed that the Korthic planned to systematically destroy human families and enslave the survivors. I have some concerns about these arrangements, Marcus said slowly. Perhaps we could discuss alternative approaches that would address Imperial security needs while preserving certain human cultural practices. High Commander Thax leaned back in his chair, his massive form radiating contempt. Dr. Chun, I fear you misunderstand the nature of these negotiations. We are not here to discuss alternatives. We are here to present the terms of your species' surrender. Terms which, I should mention, are quite generous considering your recent acts of aggression against Imperial interests. Acts of aggression? Marcus raised an eyebrow. High Commander, human colonies have been attacked without provocation. Our people have been taken as slaves. We've merely defended ourselves. Defended? Thax's voice rose to a roar that shook the crystalline walls. You dare call it defense when your military destroys Imperial research facilities? When you interfere with lawful scientific studies conducted for the betterment of all galactic species? Marcus felt his blood run cold. The research facilities Thax mentioned were the laboratories where the Korthic conducted experiments on captured humans. Intelligence reports had described chambers where human children were subjected to surgical procedures without anesthesia, their pain responses studied for scientific purposes, where human adults were infected with alien pathogens to test biological weapons, where pregnant human women were used as incubators for hybrid experiments that violated every principle of medical ethics. Perhaps you could clarify what kind of scientific studies required human subjects? Marcus asked quietly. Administrator Vex activated another holographic display, this one showing detailed anatomical diagrams of human physiology. The Empire maintains extensive research programs designed to understand the biological and psychological weaknesses of potential client species. This research is essential for developing proper integration protocols and ensuring long-term stability. The display showed images that made Marcus's stomach churn. Human brains connected to alien monitoring equipment. Human children in restraint devices, while Korthic scientists took tissue samples. Human bodies in various states of dissection, their organs labeled and cataloged like specimens in a museum. As you can see, Vex continued with academic pride, our research has yielded fascinating insights into human neural patterns, pain thresholds, and reproductive capabilities. This data will be invaluable for managing your species once integration is complete. Marcus touched his communication device 3 times, a signal for Captain Vasquez to begin the final phase. High Commander, I'm afraid I have a confession to make. Thax looked puzzled. A confession? I haven't been entirely honest about my background. Marcus stood up slowly, his diplomatic demeanor falling away like a discarded mask. You see, before I became Earth's chief negotiator, I spent 20 years as a xenobiologist. I've studied dozens of alien species, learned to understand their biology, their psychology, their weaknesses. His voice hardened. And before that, I was a colonel in Earth's Marine Corps. I know a great deal about warfare, strategy, and the application of overwhelming force. The Korthic dignitaries shifted uneasily in their chairs. High Commander Thax's golden eyes narrowed. What are you implying, human? Marcus smiled, and for the first time since entering the chamber, it was completely genuine. I'm implying that you made a critical error in judgment, High Commander. You assumed that because we came here for diplomatic talks, we came here as diplomats. He pressed his communication device one final time. You were wrong. Aboard the UES Prometheus, Captain Elena Vasquez received Dr. Chun's final signal and turned to address her bridge crew. All ships, this is Prometheus Actual. Operation Thunderbolt is now active. Drop all disguises and show them what human diplomacy really looks like. Across the human fleet, panels slid away to reveal weapon systems that no alien species had ever seen. The elegant curves of diplomatic vessels gave way to angular armor plating and massive gun batteries. Ships that had appeared to carry cultural exchange delegations suddenly bristled with missile launchers and energy weapons. The Prometheus herself underwent the most dramatic transformation, her hull sections rotating to reveal the quantum lance cannon that ran the entire length of her superstructure. Holy shit, whispered Lieutenant Park. I've been serving on this ship for 2 years, and I had no idea we were carrying that much firepower. Elena allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The human ships hadn't just been disguised as diplomatic vessels. They had been completely rebuilt around weapon systems that pushed the boundaries of known physics. Each ship in the fleet carried enough firepower to level a continent, all hidden beneath facades of peaceful intent. Tactical. Target the nearest Korthic dreadnought. Let's make sure our first shot sends a clear message. Elena settled into her command chair. All ships, you are cleared to engage. Remember, we didn't come here to negotiate. We came here to deliver justice. The quantum lance cannon charged with a sound like rolling thunder, its energy coils glowing brighter than a star. When it fired, the beam cut through space like the finger of an angry god, striking the Korthic dreadnought Doom's herald amidships. The massive alien vessel, armored with ablative plating that could withstand planetary bombardment, simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, the next it was expanding cloud of superheated plasma. On Nexus Station, the walls of the negotiation chamber began to shake as human weapons fire lit up the space around them. High Commander Thax stared at Dr. Chun in shocked disbelief. Impossible. Your ships are unarmed diplomatic vessels. Marcus checked his watch calmly. Actually, High Commander, our ships are the most advanced weapons platforms humanity has ever constructed. We spent 3 years designing them specifically for this moment. We studied your tactics, your technology, your psychology. We learned everything we needed to know to defeat you utterly. He smiled. The diplomatic facade was just to get us close enough to your fleet that you couldn't escape. Alarms began blaring throughout the station as Korthic officers rushed to respond to the impossible situation unfolding outside their windows. Through the crystalline walls, they could see their mighty Third Fleet dying. Human weapons that shouldn't exist were cutting through Korthic shields like paper. Ships that had taken decades to build were being destroyed faster than sensors could track. Captain Sarah Mitchell's voice crackled through Marcus's communication device. Dr. Chun, this is Colonel Mitchell aboard the Concordia. My Marines are ready for ground assault on the station. What are our rules of engagement? Marcus looked around the chamber at the Corthic dignitaries, these beings who had orchestrated the torture and enslavement of his species. Colonel, you are authorized to secure all detention facilities and research laboratories. Priority 1 is the rescue of human prisoners. Priority 2 is the capture of any Corthic involved in the experimentation programs. His voice turned to ice. Anyone who resists or attempts to harm prisoners should be considered a hostile combatant. Administrator Vex stumbled toward an emergency communication panel, but Marcus moved with the fluid precision of his military training. In 3 steps, he had crossed the chamber and slammed the alien against a crystalline wall hard enough to crack the bioluminescent surface. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Marcus said conversationally. You see, we've been monitoring your communications for months. We know about the dead man switches built into your research facilities. We know about the automated systems that will kill human prisoners if the station goes into lockdown. He tightened his grip on Vex's throat. But we also know how to disable those systems. Care to guess how we learned that? High Commander Thax was staring at the holographic displays that showed his fleet being systematically destroyed. This is impossible. The Empire has ruled this sector for 1,000 years. No species has ever challenged us successfully. No species has ever been pushed far enough, Marcus replied. You made one crucial mistake, High Commander. You assumed that because humans prefer diplomacy, we're incapable of warfare. You confused our desire for peace with weakness. He released Administrator Vex, who collapsed gasping to the floor. Let me educate you about human nature. We are the descendants of apex predators who conquered an entire planet. We survived ice ages, volcanic winters, and global catastrophes that would have wiped out any other species. We created weapons capable of destroying our own world then, found the wisdom not to use them. We built a civilization based on cooperation and mutual respect. The station shuddered as human boarding craft locked onto its hull. In the distance, explosions marked the death of another Corthic warship. But when someone threatens our children, when someone takes our people as slaves, when someone turns our families into laboratory specimens, Marcus's voice carried the cold fury of humanity unleashed. When someone does that, they learn why. We survived when stronger species didn't. They learn why we never give up, never surrender, never forgive those who hurt our own. Colonel Mitchell's Marines blasted through the station's outer hull in 6 different locations simultaneously. They moved through the corridors like a force of nature, their powered armor allowing them to shrug off Corthic. Weapons fire while their own weapons cut through alien defenders with devastating efficiency. But their primary mission wasn't destruction. It was rescue. In the lower levels of Nexus Station, they found what they were looking for. Detention blocks filled with human prisoners, many of them children taken from the outer colonies. Medical facilities where unspeakable experiments had been conducted on living subjects. Research laboratories containing detailed files on Corthic. Plans for humanity's systematic enslavement. Colonel Mitchell's voice came through the communication system with barely controlled rage. Dr. Chun, we've secured the detention areas. We have approximately 3,000 human prisoners, mostly, from the Kepler and Centauri colonies. Some of them ... Her voice broke slightly. Some of them are in very bad shape, sir. The Corthic have been using them for medical experiments. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of every human life that had been lost or damaged while he played diplomatic games with monsters. When he opened them again, High Commander Thax took an involuntary step backward at the fury he saw there. High Commander, I want you to look at those displays showing your fleet being destroyed. I want you to understand that this isn't random violence or mindless revenge. Marcus gestured toward the images of burning Korthic ships. This is justice. Precise, calculated, and absolutely merciless justice for every human life you've destroyed. Outside the station, the battle was reaching its conclusion. Of the 87 ships in the Korthic Third Fleet, only 12 remained functional. Those were attempting to flee the system, but Captain Zhang Wei's electronic warfare systems had disabled their faster-than-light drives. They were trapped, unable to escape or fight back effectively against weapons they didn't understand. Captain Elena Vasquez opened a communication channel to the surviving Korthic vessels. Korthic ships, this is Captain Vasquez of the UE's Prometheus. You have two options. Surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded, or continue fighting, and be destroyed like the rest of your fleet. The response came from the Korthic heavy cruiser Claw of Dominion. Human vessel, we demand safe passage from this system. The Empire will not forget this unprovoked attack on a diplomatic mission. Elena laughed, a sound devoid of humor. Unprovoked? Your Empire has been enslaving and experimenting on our people for 3 years. You invited us here, planning to murder our diplomatic team and broadcast the execution to your entire empire. The only unprovoked action here was your assumption that we would meekly submit to genocide. She paused, letting her words sink in. But you're right about one thing. The Empire won't forget this day. Neither will any other alien species that might consider humanity easy prey. Today, the galaxy learns a new lesson about human nature. Dr. Marcus Chon activated the station's communication array, the same system the Korthic had planned to use to broadcast humanity's humiliation. High Commander, I believe you wanted your people to witness these historic negotiations. Let's give them something to remember. The quantum broadcasting system came online, transmitting to every major world in the Korthic Empire. Millions of alien citizens who had gathered to watch humanity's surrender instead saw their mighty Third Fleet reduced to burning wreckage. They saw their most advanced military station occupied by human marines. They saw their leaders cowering before it. Single human diplomat who had turned their trap into their downfall. Citizens of the Korthic Empire, Marcus began, his voice carrying across space to reach every world under alien rule. For 3 years, your government has waged war against humanity. They have attacked our colonies, enslaved our people, and conducted horrific experiments on our children. They told you this was necessary for the Empire's security, that humans were a threat that had to be eliminated. He gestured toward High Commander Thax, who sat slumped in his chair like a deflated balloon. Today, you have seen what happens when humans are truly threatened. Not the random raids your government has been conducting, but a direct challenge to human survival. In less than 1 hour, 12 human ships have destroyed an entire Korthic fleet. Our Marines have liberated thousands of human prisoners from your concentration camps. Your most powerful military leaders have been captured or killed. The broadcast continued for several more minutes, with Marcus calmly explaining exactly how the human diplomatic mission had been planned and executed. He showed footage from the rescued prisoners, evidence of Korthic experimentation programs, and recordings of the aliens' own words condemning them. When the broadcast ended, Commander Thax looked up at Marcus with something approaching respect mixed with his fear. What happens now, human? Will you destroy our worlds as we would have destroyed yours? Marcus considered the question seriously. No, High Commander. We won't become monsters to defeat monsters. But the Korthic Empire, as it currently exists, is finished. Your military will be dismantled. Your research facilities will be destroyed. Your political leaders will stand trial for war crimes. He leaned forward. And every human prisoner will be returned home, along with reparations for the damage you've caused. And if we refuse these terms? Marcus smiled that cold smile again. High Commander, you seem to be under the impression that these are terms. For negotiation. They're not. They're a statement of what's going to happen. The only choice you have is whether your empire cooperates with the process or gets crushed by it. 3 hours later, the last Korthic ships had surrendered and been secured by human boarding teams. Nexus Station was fully under human control, its research facilities and detention centers emptied of prisoners and evidence. The quantum broadcasting arrays had been used to send messages to every alien government in known space, making it clear that humanity would not tolerate attacks on its people or interests. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, watching as medical ships arrived to treat the rescued prisoners. Many of the humans who had been freed would need extensive therapy *.